Welcome to Carrie Yoga on Thursday. We are gearing up to get back to work, so sorry if I look a little disheveled, but lots going on at Boulder Crest, Virginia as we get ready to get back into programs and run our first Warrior Pass since this whole COVID-19 pandemic. So super excited to get back to work, and yet I'm super excited to be here to host this 30-minute-ish yoga session for everyone. Just a couple of things about yoga. I want to remind you, if you're during the practice, if you're asking yourself, am I doing it right? Am I in the pose right? Do I look like she does? Just know that you are doing it right. And the only thing that you need to do is, one, be present on your mat, let go of all of those thoughts and checklists and emails for this brief time. And second, as long as you're moving your breath with your body, then you're doing yoga, because that's what yoga means. It means to yoke the body with the breath. So keep those two things in mind, and also practice makes practice. So even when I'm not on, there's lots of yoga out there that you can practice. So without further ado, find a nice comfortable seat on your mat, and we will begin with some breathing to bring us in to that present moment. So again, find your comfortable seated position. Begin to bring your attention to your breath, breathing in and out of the nose as you inhale and exhale, sitting up nice and tall, grounding those sitting bones into the earth, feeling the rise and the fall of the diaphragm as you inhale, exhale. Again, feel free to place your palms open side up to draw all of the positivity, all of those good vibes into your practice today. And as you inhale, think of inhaling all of that positive energy, those good vibes, and exhaling any negative, unwanted, bad vibes that you have in your mind before we begin our practice. Inhale, exhale. Start cultivating that breath, breathing into those body parts. The 3-part Dirga breathing, breathing into the belly, into the lungs, into the diaphragm, and exhaling in reverse. Maybe it's helpful placing your hands on those body parts to make sure that your belly is filling with air. You should feel that belly pushing out. Feel the diaphragm lifting with the inhale. Feel it into the top of the lungs, and exhale out through the lungs, out through the diaphragm, and out through the belly. And focus there for 3 more cycles of your own breath. Releasing any thoughts that you have before you start your practice, to allow yourself to be in the present moment, to be in the here and now, and just think about being you. As you finish your Dirga breath work, intentional breathing, just think about what you want to get out of your mat today. What's your intention? Is it just finding a break from your day, allowing yourself just some time to be you, or again, trying to focus on those positive vibes, cultivating that positivity to bring into this time to get through the rest of your day. So whatever it may be, mine is definitely seeking those positive vibes Getting some prana, that life energy running through me so I can finish out the rest of my Thursday. Come to your intention throughout your practice. Remind yourself of it, to remind yourself why you're on your mat. To bring yourself to the present and focus on that attention. Go ahead and bring your hands to heart center. We will take one deep breath in through the nose, and then we will exhale all that negativity out through our mouth. Inhale deeply. And exhale it all out. You should feel a little bit better now just from intentional breathing. Rest your hands down by your side. Slowly begin to open your eyes, refocusing and adjusting to your room, to your surroundings. And when you're ready, push yourself up to a standing position. We'll begin in our mountain pose, Tadasana. Keep your feet hip-width distance apart. And just make sure each point of your foot is planted firmly into the mat, from the outside pinky toe to the heels to that big toe. Standing nice and tall, palms again face out. Again, just connecting with your breath here. Inhale. Exhale, allowing your chest to open and allow that oxygen to freely flow through your body. Say that 3 times fast, yogis. Keeping the crown of the head drawn towards the ceiling and your chin parallel with your chest. One more inhale and exhale here in mountain pose. Perfect. And we're just gonna start with some inhales and exhales, moving our upper body. So as we inhale, the arms up, gaze up at the thumbs. Exhale, just bring your arms down to shoulder length. Engaging the fingertips. I always like to say as if energy is shooting out those fingertips. Inhale, arms back up, gazing at the thumbs. Exhale. Arms shoulder length. 2 more times. Inhale. Gazing at the thumbs. Exhale, shoulder length. Last time. Inhale. Exhale, hands to heart center. Perfect. So go ahead and we're just going to focus on our balance. So you can bring your hands to your hips. Again, feet are hip width distance apart. As you inhale, bring your knee up. Keep your foot flexed. You can stay here if you want to place your hands on your knee as you inhale here, and as you exhale, bring that knee closer to the chest. Now remember, for balance poses, it's important to find your drishti. Find a focal point. Once you find your focal point, you'll be able to find your balance. Keep breathing in and out of the nose. Making sure we have that point in the room that we're focusing on. Again, feel free to release your knee, to challenge yourself a little bit more, keeping the foot flexed, hands on the hips. 2 more breaths here. Last breath. And go ahead and release back to the floor. Shake that left leg out. We're switching sides. Inhale, bring the left leg up. Foot is flexed. Knee and thigh are parallel to the floor. Staying here, as you inhale, wrap the hands around the knee. And as you exhale, bending that knee, getting it deeper into the pose and closer to your chest. Closer to that upper body. Again, you'll find that you're more balanced on one side than the other. If you fall out of the pose, totally fine. Have fun with yoga. It's okay to be silly and fall out. It's a practice. 2 more breaths here. This pose actually is called standing wind relieving pose. So It's okay to do that too during yoga. Last breath. And go ahead and release it down to the mat. Shake the legs out. We're going to come into a squat. So bring your feet hip-width distance apart. Inhale, bring your hands to your heart center, and as you exhale, sit into those sitting bones, bending the knees, making sure the knees aren't coming over the toes, pressing into the heels. You can also put your hands out. Inhale, rise, and we're just going to do some squats here, focusing on our quads. Exhale, bend into squat. Maybe you're not as low. Maybe you're up a little bit higher. Do what feels good for your body. Don't focus on so much of what my pose looks like. Just make sure you're breathing and moving with your body, and you're having fun. Inhale, come up. Exhale, come back into that squat. Inhale, rise. For more of a challenge, maybe stick your toes up so you know that you're putting that weight as you exhale all into the heels. This is our last one, so we're breathing here for a couple of breaths, engaging those quads. Inhale, come back up. Shake those legs out a little bit. Another important thing I want to point out during this flow is that it's really not like a flow. And I had to get off of my head when I first started teaching yoga that not everything has to be a vinyasa. So think about that as you develop your own self-practice. We're going to inhale from mountain pose. Exhale, come into that forward fold, stretching out our spine and our lower back. Again, if your hamstrings are tight, keep a nice bend in the knees, pressing into your chest. Maybe try wrapping your arms back behind your legs and pulling yourself down towards your shins. Or keeping in line with our usual forward folds, wrapping one opposite hands to opposite elbows, swaying back and forth. Two more breaths here. Last breath. Inhale, come into forward fold, fingertips on the shins, coming to a nice flat back, making sure our neck is in line with our spine. Maybe try wrapping your hands behind you, clasping them, and letting those shoulders drop down. Keeping a nice flat back, or just bringing your hands to your back. Just a couple of different ways to modify this halfway lift. One more breath here. Exhale, fold again. Maybe come into gorilla pose, placing your feet, your hands under your feet so your big toe presses into your wrist. Coming into a deeper forward fold. Inhaling, finding length in the spine. Exhaling, deepening into the pose. Again, keeping a slight bend in the knees if your hands are tight. Two more breaths here in gorilla pose. I can tell my hamstrings are tight because they're shaking right now. One last breath. As you inhale, go ahead and release those hands from under the feet. Go ahead and heel toe your feet all the way out towards the mat and sink those hips in between the knees, coming into Yogi Squat Malasana. So again, some of you may be on your tippy toes if you're still working on Malasana. Maybe you're sitting on a blanket. Maybe you have a blanket rolled underneath your heels. Maybe you're sitting on a block. Whatever feels good for you. Keeping the hands at heart center. I like to rock back and forth here in yogi squat. Usually stay here for a minimum of 10 breaths. So it is a great hip opener. Send your breath to the spaces in your body that need to find that length. Making sure you're not slumping into the pose, but you're sitting nice and tall. Try to work on keeping your hands, your forearms parallel with the mat, with the floor. Again, coming to this pose throughout the day. It's great if you sit a lot, if you have a long commute. We're here for 5 more breaths. Make sure you're smiling. Rocking back and forth. It should feel really good on those tight hips. Again, modify as you need fit. Last 2 breaths. One more breath here in Malasana. Go ahead and release, coming to a nice seated position on your mat. We're going to come into seated staff pose, which is you're just extending your legs straight out in front of you. Inhale, the arms rise. Make sure you're sitting up nice and tall. Inhale, we're just finding a twist, bringing the left hand to the right ankle and the right hand behind you. Again, sitting up nice and tall. Now, if you can only come to your knee, maybe you'll only come to your thigh. Wherever you are is perfect. Gazing over the right shoulder. Engaging our core. Always imagining that belly button is touching the spine. One more breath. Again, keeping a slight bend in your knees if you need to. Inhale, arms up through center. Exhale, just twisting to the other side. Right hand to left ankle. Left hand behind you. Gazing over the left shoulder. Seated staff pose. Breathing in and out through the nose. Keeping our back nice and long and tall. 2 more breaths in our twisted seat here. Last breath. Inhale, arms back up through center. Exhale, hands through heart. Perfect. Go ahead and bring your right ankle to that left knee and come to a seated fire pose here. So sitting nice and tall, inhale, arms up. Exhale, just hinging forward, letting your hands land wherever they may in front of you. You can keep them palms down, or you can just come up onto your fingertips. Again, just this is a more active engagement for your hands during this pose. And just try to inhale, reaching for more length, exhaling, bending more into the pose. You should feel a nice stretch in that hamstring in your left side and on the outside of your right leg. Again, if you want to find more length, go deeper into the pose. Try inhaling the arms again and exhaling. See if your hands fall a little farther away from the body. Keeping that foot flexed, the left foot and the right. Breathing into that space that needs it the most. Mine is the outside of my thigh. One more breath here. Inhale, arms rise. Exhale through heart center. Switch sides. Extend the right leg out. Left ankle to the right knee. Sitting nice and tall. Inhale, arms rise. Exhale, letting those hands fall where they may in front of you. Again, keeping them on your palms or staying up on your fingertips, more active engagement of the hands. With every inhale, finding length, every exhale, deepening into the pose, coming over that left hip. I have a slight groin injury that I've been struggling with since probably November. So I do feel it more on this side, in the inside of my leg. Keep breathing, sending your breath to the spaces in your body that need it most. Again, maybe inhaling the arms up and exhaling, seeing if those hands fall farther away from the body. Stretching the hamstring on the right side, stretching the left outer thigh. One more breath here. Inhale, arms back up. Exhale through heart center. Go ahead and spin on your mat, coming to a seated position, keeping the knees bent. We always like to do a little bit of core workout, so I can't do a yoga session without engaging those abs. So come into a modified boat. Again, if you need to keep your hands underneath your knees, perfectly fine. If you want to lengthen the legs out, you can. I have a hard time with that thigh or groin injury, so I'm going to stay right here, keeping my shins parallel with the mat. Inhale, arms out, you can palms face up, and we're just going to hold here for 10 breaths. Keeping your spine nice and straight, sending your breath, engaging the core. Again, imagining that navel to the spine. Use those core muscles. Breathe, don't hold your breath. We're almost through this boat pose. If you need to modify, maybe just set your toe tips down on the mat and then come back up. Challenge yourself. Last 5 breaths, we got this. Keep smiling. Keep breathing. Last 3. Almost done. Last 2. And last breath, go ahead and release your feet back to the mat. Just come into a nice seated child's pose, bringing the heels of your feet close to your sitting bones as possible. Just make yourself a nice little box and bring your forehead to your knees. Take a couple of breaths there. Inhaling and exhaling through the nose, just making sure you're reconnecting with the breath. One more breath. Inhale, bring your head up. And as you exhale, slowly release your body all the way to the mat, coming to a nice flat back. We're not done with abs. We're going to come into our Yogi Bike. So inhale, bring your knees up. Again, shins are parallel to the floor. Bring your hands, interlace them behind your neck, or just keep your fingertips touching. If you have any neck trouble, just bring your neck to the mat and move your legs. And move your elbows, just laying flat on the mat. But we will use our breath. Otherwise, inhale up, always starting on the right. So exhale, lower, keep the left leg hovering over the mat. Left elbow to right knee, and switch. Right elbow to left knee, switch. Yogi Bikes. Breathe. Again, as you inhale, you're finding length. Exhale, you're bending. That elbow into the knee. You can go fast. The slower you go, the more difficult it is. Engaging the core, working our obliques. We don't know how many breaths we were going to do, so we're going to keep going. For 5 more, 4 more, 3 more, 2 more. Last one. Wrap your arms around your knees, lower to the mat, and give yourself a nice hug, bringing the knees into the chest. Good. Working those abs. Bring your right ankle to that left knee. Inhale, bending that left knee, coming into a reclined pigeon pose. So bring your right hand in between that gap you've created in your legs, left hand underneath that left knee, keeping the shin parallel, the calf to the floor, using that right elbow to press open that right hip, and just pushing, bringing the left knee towards the chest, as comfortable as it feels to you. Don't apply too much pressure to the point where it's not feeling good. Continue your breathing in and out through the nose, feeling a nice stretch on that right outside thigh. You don't have to use your elbow to apply pressure. You can just continuously, as you exhale, bring that left knee in towards the chest. It should feel really good. 3 more breaths here. Keeping the left foot flexed. I'm sorry, our landscaping guys are outside mowing. 2 more breaths. And last, inhale and exhale. Go ahead and release the left foot to the mat, and then the right. Switch sides, left ankle to right knee. Inhale that right knee up. Left hand comes between that gap you created. Right hand behind the right knee. Again, feet are flexed. That right shin is parallel with the floor. And you're just gently applying a little pressure, bringing that knee closer to the chest. Reclined pigeon pose. Again, send that breath to the space where you need it in your body. Maybe it's on the outside of that left thigh, the left hip. Last 2 breaths. Keep your feet engaged. Keep them flexed or pointed. Apply as little or as much pressure as you want, pressing the knee to the chest. Last breath. And as you exhale, release the right foot and then the left. Let's windshield wiper our knees, our legs. So walk your feet to the outer edges of the mat. Bring the knees in and just allow your knees to just windshield wiper in and out. Just like a windshield wiping, just like wipers wiping the windshield. Stretching those hips again, finding more mobility. Perfect. 2 more breaths here. Inhale, the knees up, coming into happy baby. Reaching for your feet on the outside of the feet. Keeping the feet flexed, pressing those knees down towards the floor, just like a happy baby. Rocking from side to side, using our core to stay balanced. If you topple over during your rock, that's okay. Maybe extend one leg, keep the other one bent, stretching the hamstring. Three more breaths here. As we're winding down to our final poses of our practice, last breath. Go ahead. Bring the soles of your feet together as you drop them to the mat, coming into our reclined butterfly pose, Supta Baddha Konasana. This is how we will end our practice. If you have time, I invite you to stay here for at least 2 minutes, up to 5 minutes. Again, if you have time. Bringing the soles of the feet and those heels as close to your sitting bones as it feels comfortable. One hand on your heart and one hand on your belly. Begin to just breathe normally here, allowing yourself to melt into the mat, allowing your body to relax and rejuvenate, and still finding a stretch in our hips and our inner thighs in our butterfly pose. Please stay here and let yourself rejuvenate, relax those muscles and tendons. Allow yourself that time before coming out of your practice. Again, if you're at work and you don't have the time, roll onto your favorite side, keeping your eyes closed. Press yourself up into a comfortable seated position. Maybe you're starting to work on half lotus. Maybe you can do a full lotus. Sitting up nice and tall, bringing those hands to heart center. As always, thank you so much for taking the time for yourself, allowing some self-care, allowing yourself to be present in the moment, moving and breathing with your body. That is yoga. In deepest gratitude, namaste. Thank you so much for joining me today. Sorry, I just saw a comment about stepping towards the door. I apologize. Hopefully you enjoyed this time on your mat. I feel like I did a great job keeping it to a 30-minute session today. Next week, since I did say we were back to work, I won't be on, but I will be on the following week. And we're also offering on National Day of Yoga is June 21st. We're offering an Eventbrite sign up. So if you're interested on that, it's Sunday, June 21st at 2 p.m. Thank you so much again for being here with me, and flow on, yogis.